Hello everybody, it's the 10th of January today and I'm about to do some winter work on this large beech. Let me just pop the can in for scale as always, just give you a rough idea of the size of tree. It's what, 6 or 7 cans high, and well, the base of the trunk is not quite a can's worth. Is that a measurement? It is in my world. And if you've been around my channel for a while, you might have seen me work on this tree before. There is a playlist which I'll link in the description below, and at the end screen of the video, of a series of trees on this, a series of videos on this tree where I've been working on it and developing it over the years, and you may find that interesting. I've had it quite a while. My eldest daughter bought this for me in her first year at university, and she's in her early 30s now. So yeah, you know, I've had it at least 10 years plus. It was just a skinny little misshapen thing in a pot that she thought would make something interesting one day, and she was absolutely right. It's taken me a while to pull something interesting out of it, but we're getting there slowly. I've had to graft in this branch at the top here, and because it had a odd bare patch and stubbornly would not produce me any buds, but that's healed in really nicely, and I plan to do some carving on it in the spring, so there'll be a video on that to come. But for now, what I want to do is remove all these old leaves so I can see better the structure underneath. And beech as a mature tree tends to lose its leaves, but as a young tree holds on to them. So by removing the leaves, I will be adding to the illusion of this being a mature old specimen. So basically, you can cut or pull the leaves off, and then you begin to see some of this winter structure. Straight away I'm seeing problems where I've got branches crossing and generally going in the wrong direction, that sort of thing. So I'll continue with this, and I won't bore you by watching me, or making you watch me do the whole tree. Okay, so that's half the tree done. I will just get on and do the other half without subjecting you to any more of that, but I think you can appreciate that perhaps the tree looks older, more mature on this side than it does on that side, and I can certainly see where I have a bunch of flaws in terms of crossing branches, etc., that I can perhaps correct with some wire, some boring straight pieces that perhaps need a few bends put in, etc. So anyway, gonna pull the rest off and then I'll come back. Okay, so there we go. That's removed all the leaves, about a quarter of a bucket full. Let me just remove a couple of these guy wires that have been on for a while. I can see are beginning to cut in, and I think they have more or less done their job now. That branch seems to be happily staying in place, which is good, and remove this second one and likewise a little bit of movement, maybe a centimetre or so, but nothing I'm going to be upset about. This wire is going to get reused, reuse, reduce, recycle and all that. Some of you might remember I had a frame with rolls of wire for Christmas last year, which was a lovely present, but I haven't even started to use it yet. I'm still reusing old stuff that I've had for years, so one day I'm sure those rolls will come out and get used in earnest, but for now I'm going to reduce, reuse, recycle for as long as I can, everything that I've got. So what do I want to do with this? Well, this piece needs to come down a bit, so I might put a guy wire on there. Let's move in a little closer while I do that. I'm going to try and use this branch to anchor this branch whilst I just pull that down somewhat, and I'm going to use some of this plastic tubing to protect the tree from the guy wires cutting in, because I think I'm going to have to put a fair amount of pressure on said tree or on said branch to bring it down. I'm going to use I think this is 1.5mm wire, and essentially I'm going to want enough to sort of rough measurement of approximately that much. Okay, so now I can just take this piece of plastic and pop it roughly where I want it. Now there's a little trick you can do to get it to bend around the branch nicely, is if you just put a nick, not all the way through, but most of the way through. Why wire cutters do it? No. Maybe. Okay, let's use these. That's better. Okay, so now that tube will bend around the branch and still give the protection, but won't slip and slide away from where you want it. In fact, actually I'm going to take that out one little piece, like so. Okay, and then a little nick. Pass the wire through. And now I can just begin to kind of wind it down so it's more horizontal. That's better. As I say, this was a branch that I grafted into place, and I will have to do some work at this point just to tidy up this scar and this kind of little bit of a bulge, but it's not too ugly. Okay, so I've also got some odd pieces like this branch here. I need to make a decision. Do I want to try and bend that branch like so, or cut it off? And in this case, a bit of both. I'm going to remove that piece, but I'm going to bend the whole thing round, or what's left around. Now what do I do with that 2mm wire? There it is. Cut me off a piece. Possibly could have used a slightly heavier wire. However, I've always said my wiring is down and dirty, but gets the job done, and that appears to be getting the job done. Okay, there's a few places where I could attach a piece of wire, or I could snip it off. Here, I'm not convinced this piece will ever be productive, so I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to shorten a few other pieces. This piece going back across the trunk I'm going to remove. And some of these pieces that are going straight up, I'm not sure are ever going to be really productive in a final design. I can remove like that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces coming out of the end of that branch. Not happy with that situation, nor with that piece crossing. I'm going to remove that, and that, and even that, and that gives that branch a little bit of taper. In fact, I could going to remove that whole section. In fact, no, I'm going to go back even further. I'm not sure how well you can see what I'm doing. Let's turn the tree round. I'm going to take this piece of branch right back to this shorter, fresh piece, like so. And that'll take over and come out in this direction. I'm not happy with that. So there's a strange little piece here that I'm going to put a piece of wire on. I might lose that. Okay, so that's better. So I'm going to go around the whole tree, taking out, as I say, bits going in the wrong direction and bits going straight up, so if I can't wire into a better position, and maybe shortening a few pieces. Apologies for that, that last bit was a bit of a dog's dinner, but I hope you got the gist of what I was doing, and you can see the end result of those two branches now. I'm going to do pretty much the same with this one. I'm going to take out bits I don't feel I can wire into a better position. And obviously wire in the bits that I feel I can. I don't want to take away all of the ramification that I've already got, but obviously if it gets too congested, the stuff that's on the inside is just going to die off any road. because it will be, oh, the light will be blocked off. Again, here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces coming from one, and I'm going to remove 4 of those and shorten the remaining one. And I don't much like that branch, that fork at the back, which tends to interfere with this other branch here, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, I want to put some wire on some of these pieces. That's better. Just bringing that branch out a little bit more horizontal. I'm not happy with that piece at all, so I'm going to remove that as well, and then I'm going to try and bring that further across, fill in that gap a little better with a little less congestion. Without it interfering, that's better. And then that piece I'd like to come out like so. In fact, no, I want to shorten that. I'd like more taper in the branching, if I can. So rather than wire these pieces, I'm cutting them off to a place where I've got a downward facing bud that can then come out sort of down and out, and therefore we'll end up with a lower branch. And apologies, this is end up as a long video. Unless I do a lot of fast forwarding, which I guess I might just do, or you might have already noticed that I've already done. There we go, that's better. There we go, pretty much tidied up for the spring, ready for the spring. Just going to nip that off. Back to another bud. The apex is going to need quite a bit of tidying at some point, and but all in all I think I've got rid of all of them, you know, the crossing, shading out pieces, and put some movement into some pieces and put them into the right direction. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but as I always say, I have to look at this tree every day. You only have to look at it when you click on the video. Don't click on the video again if you don't like it. Yeah. Do I do something with that? Yeah, I do. I'm going to just nip that out. It's too long, it's too straight. I don't think I can get a really good bend into it. And all in all, I'm much happier with the tree as is. Hopefully we get a whole new bunch of buds popping as well come spring, with some more options. As I always say, my videos are more of this is what I've done than this is what you should do. But thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and do the YouTube things, you know, the liking, the commenting, the sharing, etc. But most of all, please do look after yourselves. Stay safe, everybody.